Welcome to Films and Stuff with your hosts, Pete Mitchell and Ethan Hunt.
Hello, Pete. Welcome back to Films and Stuff. How are you?
I'm great, Ethan. How are you?
I am dino-rific, and the reason for that is the long-awaited, let's call it the cram session or the prep session for Jurassic World Dominion.
That's right. This is the Films and Stuff Crib Notes edition of Jurassic, the Jurassic series.
It is. So before we start with Dominion, where are we in the Jurassic world? Yeah? This series started 1993. Can you believe it?
That's right.
That's
1993
30 years
was the
ago.
original, almost exactly. So next week will be 30 or 29 year anniversary.
Yeah.
Of Jurassic Park 1.
I mean, to give you context, The Fast and the Furious, which is working on its 10th movie, started in 2001, which means it's doing like one every 2 years, 2-point-something years. Yeah.
You want some better context?
I do. Yes.
Marvel started with Iron Man in 2004 or 5.
Oh, man.
And they've been 27 movies since.
So Jurassic's been a little bit slow. It's been slow probably because I'll just read these off so we have some context where we begin, right? So Jurassic Park, the original, right? The one that was a game changer. 1993, directed by Steven Spielberg. Then, of course, The Lost World, Jurassic Park. 1997, also Steven Spielberg. Then 2001, Jurassic Park 3. So that's a pretty decent range. Every 4 years they're pumping them out.
Every 4 years, consistent. Yeah, pretty consistent.
Jurassic Park was classic, timeless. Really a Spielberg masterpiece. The second one, The Lost World, I think was not so great. And then Jurassic Park 3 was, I think, pretty terrible. And then they took a 14-year hiatus to let kind of the stench dissipate, let's say. And then they changed everything. It's no longer Jurassic Park, it's Jurassic World. In 2015, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. 2018, Jurassic World Dominion. Now 2022. So that's every kind of 2 to 3 years, which is, I guess, where this thing is going. It doesn't seem like there's any slowdown, I think, of the Jurassic IP.
I expect that it's kind of done with Dominion. I think the idea is that Dominion is going to be. You think they're going to have a fourth and move forward?
What I've understood, because I've done some prep for my prep course.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
What I understand is that whoever the powers are, which is, I guess, Frank Marshall now is primarily the producer. But I understand that they've kind of said, hey, like all these one-off storylines is not really working. We need everything. We need kind of like a universe. We need something that's kind of like a recurring, longer-term plot, right? So I think what they're trying to do now is get just like a more comprehensive storyline. And it's a storyline that we're just going to see continuation. I think Jurassic is just too big of an intellectual property. Remember, like there was a time it was like the 4th or 5th highest grossing movie, ever. I mean, it's valuable. People love dinosaurs, and to be honest, there's nothing competing in the dinosaur space, right? Like you can say in the superhero space, it's a crowded market, so to speak. In the pick whatever genre you want, but for pirates, there's only Pirates of the Caribbean. And for dinosaurs, there's only Jurassic Park, right? Like, those are very unique. And everyone loves dinosaurs, right? Like, they're scary enough to appeal to adults. and all kids love dinosaurs. So it's kind of like a good intellectual property. So I think I'm expecting, I don't know anything about the plot for Dominion, not a single thing, but I expect that they're going to kind of like reshape this, and it's not going to be the same old dinosaurs escape. We got to round them back up. It's going to be a more sustainable let's call it like a pivoting of the plot. And it's going to be something that you can kind of see like this is going to be a longer term thing.
All right. So before we break that down of what we think could happen, because I think that's also an interesting idea. Let's do a rundown of Jurassic Parks 1 through 5.
Yes.
So that we have some context. The listeners have some context as to what's going on in these movies, so that we understand where we are before we step into the cinemas on Thursday when it comes out here, to understand what, where the mindset is.
Okay.
So shall we start with the first?
I mean, I think the original Jurassic Park 1993, I think, is the easiest to understand, which is basically scientists identified a way to extract DNA that was somehow preserved in minerals and basically recreate dinosaurs. And they put them on a island called, can't remember the name of the island. And
Isla Nublar or Isla
Nublar, you're right.
Nublar, or because they had a couple, remember? Because they had twin sites.
Yes.
One was with an S, one with the Nublar. Yep. I can't remember. But
correct. Yeah. It was Nublar to begin with. And remember what they did was they were going to open a theme park, and there was like a incident where a dinosaur like bit someone or ate someone. So they called in the 3 experts, right? Sam Neill and Laura Dern and Jeff Goldblum. And they said, hey, our investors need these independent dino experts to come in and certify that everything's okay. They came in, and unbeknownst to them,
things were not okay.
Things were not okay. It was Newman, Wayne Knight, who was paid to kind of smuggle some of the dinosaur embryos out. In order to do this, he turned off the electricity or the power system. And then, of course, he got eaten by a dinosaur when he was leaving. And when the power was out, all the dinosaurs escaped. Chaos ensues, and so forth.
That's right. And then they escape with the park basically in tatters.
Yeah. And that's kind of I think that's when we were introduced to the Velociraptor. And that's, I think, the iconic scene was kind of like the T-Rex roaming through the lobby of the Welcome Center, kind of roaring, and the banner comes down in the background and so forth. Yeah. That's kind of the iconic scene, right?
Absolutely. Three Velociraptors battling it out with one T-Rex. Yeah. So that was in 93. That was a great movie. Perfect use of practical effects.
Oh, yeah.
And then we move into Jurassic Park 2 or The Lost Kingdom, if that's what it was.
The Lost World.
The Lost World. The Lost World, that's right.
So The Lost World was a pretty good sequel idea, where we learned that what they did in the original Jurassic Park was they actually had a second island. It wasn't Isla Nublar. It was Isla Sorna. And basically what they did was when they had the dinosaurs and they were just like embryos hatching, they first put them on this secondary island, let them get like large enough and kind of grow in a safe environment, and then they were supposed to transport them to the main Jurassic theme park. And now they realize that the second island is still going strong and there's a lot of dinosaurs there and so on and so forth. Of course, they escape and chaos ensues, and they eventually capture them and retain them, restrain them. This was the second Jurassic Park.
Yeah,
that's right. I did not know this until I looked back at it. I didn't know that Vince Vaughn was in that movie. Did you remember that?
I vaguely remember it now that you say it.
Yeah, Vince Vaughn was in that movie. crazy. But Jeff Goldblum was in it as well.
So this was primarily about Jeff Goldblum in terms of the original trio and his ex-wife and his daughter.
Yeah, that's right.
Right, gymnast. There was one scene that I remember because I don't remember the movie very well because I didn't enjoy it so much. But I do remember that one scene where she's using like the rafters of a warehouse building as like parallel bars, and she swings, and she's somehow able to drop kick a velociraptor out of the warehouse, which is, like this 35, 40 kilogram little girl is able to kick across 300, 400, 500 kilogram dinosaur straight out of a warehouse. Always blew my mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what happens when your storyline starts to get a little bit
terrible, skinny.
Let's call it.
So let's quickly fast forward onto Jurassic Park 3. And I think this is the return of Sam Neill for the first time.
Return of Sam Neill, and Laura Dern is in this one. I do not believe Jeff Goldblum was in it.
No, I don't think he was. I think
they traded. They traded a Sam Neill and a Laura Dern. So it was William H. Macy, we haven't seen in a long time, Téa Leoni, and their son goes missing on Isla Sorna. So he brings back Sam Neill and Laura Dern, and he says, hey, I'm just doing some reconnaissance on this island, and I'll pay you guys. It's good for your research, and we're just going to do some scouting from the air. And that's how he hooks them to come, and he tricks them. They actually land on the island, and of course the dinosaurs are chasing them. They've got to find Sam Neill's son. Chaos ensues, and at some point, I think they actually bring dinosaurs.
No, so it was, I remember now. So Sam Neill's assistant goes with them, and in his camera bag, he stows away some velociraptor eggs.
Yes.
And the idea was that he was going to sneak them off, but then they don't understand, and no one understands why they're being hunted by the velociraptors.
Yes.
Until he admits that it's because he took the eggs.
Exactly right.
And it looks like they're cornered, and then that's when Laura Dern's character calls in the Navy or like the SEALs or someone. I remember them coming up onto the beach and saving them, and they leave by helicopter, and they see pterodactyls and pteranodons flying all over the place.
So I think, what we've seen now after we look at this first Jurassic Park trilogy is that the storylines are really not very sustainable. It's just
except for the first one. The first one was excellent. Yes. The rest of them were kind of weak sauce.
They're just manufactured like conflict, right?
Yeah.
People put themselves in harm's way, either by their ignorance or stupidity, and they've got to somehow escape. Some people get eaten, the main characters survive, and again, they all end with kind of a helicopter flying away, and you look at all the natural dinosaurs, roaming below.
Well, as our good friend Jeff Goldblum would say, nature
always
finds a way.
Nature always finds a way. So then we fast forward 14 years. They've changed everything to now Jurassic World. So this is Jurassic World, and this is where new owners, and they brought in Chris Pratt, right? And they brought in Bryce Dallas Howard
as the park manager / operator or something. I don't know.
She was
able to do a 100-meter dash in her high heels.
I mean, she was kind of like the intern PR person, but at the same time, kind of like the chief operating officer, like a little bit of everything.
Yeah, this was the startup model, right? Like everyone does a little bit of everything. She did a little bit of everything.
A startup dinosaur park, right? Just a startup dinosaur park. So what was this? Basically, after all the disasters, they have now restarted the Jurassic Park. They call it Jurassic World. It's now a big theme park. They've got new genetically modified Indominus Rex, right? Which was supposed to be the genes spliced from the T-Rex, from the Velociraptor, and from a bunch of other stuff like tree frog and so forth.
Right. Oh, so we forgot to say, by the way, in these, I think this trilogy is when we see the return of Dr. Wu, right? He's the guy who was basically the lead geneticist who was there in Jurassic Park 1, if I recall.
Yeah.
And then they bring him back for Jurassic World 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah. Which is pretty clever because remember the old guy was played by, I want to say David Attenborough? Richard Attenborough.
Richard Attenborough, his older brother. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So it was Richard Attenborough, and obviously he was getting a little bit long in the tooth. I'm not even sure if he's with us anymore. So obviously they needed like a little bit of continuity from the original, and it makes sense to bring in Wu, who I think had a very, very small
incredibly
role in
small
the original.
part in the original, and then he becomes the main antagonist almost, if you would. In the 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah. So remember, in Jurassic World, everything is going smoothly, right? Everybody, quote unquote, where's the narrator in the background? It was not going smoothly.
Exactly. Exactly.
So everything was, in theory, going smoothly.
Yeah.
They learned all their lessons.
They're making a lot of money.
They had a fail-safe, so you can't turn off the power. Everyone's coming. They're selling souvenirs. They're watching the Indominus Rex. But, of course, there was a mistake. And the Indominus Rex could camouflage itself. And remember then when the zookeepers, for the lack of a better word, went in to like feed it or give it its bath or something, they said, hey, it's not here. It's escaped. But it was really just camouflaging itself so they couldn't see it. And then it snuck out while they were trying to figure out where it was, right?
Yeah.
And then, of course, chaos ensued. We had to see Bryce Dallas Howard running very fast on cobblestone in high heels.
How she didn't break her ankles is a mystery. But we get another returning cast member in this movie, which is the original T-Rex from Jurassic Park 1. He saves the day.
That's right. And the T-Rex eats, I think at the end, the Indominus Rex.
No, right? Because, they have a fight. It was like all of the 3 raptors or 4 raptors that Chris Pratt trains, plus the original T-Rex from Jurassic Park 1 versus the Indominus Rex. And they back it up against the aquarium, and then the giant shark eats him.
What was the name of the shark?
Mosasaurus, I think. I think it's a Mosasaurus.
Is that a real thing?
Yeah, I think it's a real thing. Yeah. Huh. Yeah. Except for the Indominus Rex, all the dinosaurs, I believe, are real things.
There's a Moses. Is that like remember the movie The Meg?
Oh,
there's
the
something
Megalodon.
called the Megalodon.
With Jason.
Jason Statham.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So this actually is a real dinosaur, right?
I believe all the dinosaurs were real except for the Indominus Rex.
All right. So the Indominus Rex was eaten, and then everything is bad. Okay.
Yep.
2018. Chris Pratt is back. Bryce Dallas Howard is back. Who else is back?
Dr. Wu is back.
Jeff Goldblum is back.
Oh, that's right. They call him back in for this one. That's right. And it's the this time, if I remember correctly, the island has a volcano.
Yes.
It's about to go kaput. They want to try to save as many of the dinosaurs they can. So they go on what is supposed to be like a quote unquote humanitarian mission to save these dinos. And it turns out that it was really a mission where they were going to take these dinos so that they could auction them off to like privately wealthy individuals on the mainland.
So I thought that the way that this went was like Congress, which apparently had nothing else to do I don't even think that this is like American soil, but that's a different issue. had like hearings as to whether or not they should save the dinosaurs. And Jeff Goldblum went, remember, and he reprised his classic line, which is, life will find a way. You don't have to save these dinosaurs. They'll be fine. Like, and they decided not to save the dinosaurs. So then it was like a private group that decided to do it, correct?
Something like that. I can't remember the technicalities as to how they got there, but I remember that they got Bryce Dallas Howard and Chris Pratt to go under the guise that they were going to save the dinos, not kidnap them for selling and in a private auction.
Yeah. And is there a signature scene in Fallen Kingdom? I know I've seen Fallen Kingdom.
Yeah, it was so generic to me that I can't think of a signature scene, right? I remember, so the other major plot point is that Hammond's granddaughter or great-granddaughter is a clone. She's the first human clone. And they realize, like, because at the end of the day, with all the chaos ensuing, they have to make a decision. Either let the dinosaurs die in that warehouse because there was some kind of poison gas system in place.
Yeah.
Or release them into the wilds of what is now obviously America. Right? Yeah. And so Bryce Dallas Howard, who was committed to saving them, was like, no, we have to think of mankind first. And so she says no. She steps away from the console. And I remember at the end, the cloned girl who was the one who releases them. So now you've got a bunch of dinosaurs roaming, the American
California.
Yeah. But then I think now that's the whole point of the trailers in Dominion is it's not just California. It's about how humans are now coexisting with dinosaurs everywhere in America.
Oh, is that true?
Yeah, I saw the trailers. I think I saw some frozen areas. I saw some desert areas or something like that. So I imagine that this movie is going to take place. I imagine Dominion is going to take place several years after Fallen Kingdom. And the point is that it's going to be, the dinosaurs have kind of become naturalized and have, taken over some habitats, and humankind has kind of learned to live with them. I don't know what the conceit of the movie is now thereafter. Like, I don't know what the main selling point is going to be.
Yeah. So I remember from Jurassic World, I thought there were three kind of signature scenes. Mm-hmm. And the first was that big fish in the tank.
Yep.
And the second was Bryce Dallas Howard, like, running in her heels.
Yep.
And I thought the third was Chris Pratt. Remember, he was on like a motorcycle and like the velociraptors were like leading him to the thing. And he was kind of like following them, like driving through like the jungle. I remember.
I think that actually might happen in the second one, or I think I saw that in the trailer of the third one. I think that might just be like in general a thing that he does in all of the movies.
Maybe that's
For me, that third classic scene was where he's got his dinosaur is called Blue, his velociraptor.
Yeah.
And he's kind of training them, and he's standing in front of them with his arms wide, and he's kind of...
And his toenail clippers.
And then he kind of puts his hand out, almost like he's using the force. So that was the other one.
Yeah.
You're right. I can't remember much about the second film.
Yeah, the two Jurassic Worlds kind of blend together for me. But I remember in one of them also, there was, remember like that rolling ball, and like the two kids were in the rolling ball.
That was in the first one. That's right. Those two kids was Bryce Dallas Howard's nephews.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They were in the rolling ball, and then the rolling ball stopped, and then someone smashed the rolling ball, and that was
and then you see the rolling ball in the second one as well, because the volcano is exploding, and they use that rolling ball to escape. They jump off a cliff and land in the water, and dinosaurs fall around them. Yeah, you're right. The first two movies kind of did blend together, and that's not to say that they were generic, but the action sequences certainly seemed to be. And I don't know. The second one did not do anything for me.
Well, I think this is one of the challenges that we had a previous episode 61, listeners, where we talked about all good all good like shows have like a asymmetrical conflict, right? They've got kind of like two conflicts. It's not just like a one-on-one conflict. And I think one of the challenges with Jurassic is that, the dinosaurs are only going to be the dinosaurs, right? Like there's no dinosaurs versus anyone else, right? They're just going to eat up everything in their path.
Yeah,
it's hard to make them like multi-dimensional in terms of like their character, right? So you can really only have kind of like the zookeepers, they care about the animals, and you can have like the evil corporation that only cares about money, and then you can just kind of the animals who just want to like survive, right?
Exactly.
And I think that's why for me and you, the two Jurassic Worlds blended together, because there's just not that much conflict, It's not like Planet of the Apes, where the apes like initiate like ape law, right? And they have their internal conflicts, and then they're against the humans as well. And even Planet of the Apes definitely ran its course, in my opinion. But for Jurassic, there's got to be something else. It can't just be the never-ending, hey, the dinosaurs escaped, let's capture them again, right? So if the second one, Jurassic Park, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, left off, as you're saying, that now the dinosaurs are kind of like back all over the place, that's probably where this third one, Dominion, picks up. And then what happens?
I don't know what the central conflict is of this movie. That's the thing, is I just don't know what the central conflict is. And as you rightly pointed out, dinosaurs are effectively a two-dimensional character.
Yeah.
And every good series has to have a protagonist and an antagonist. It's very clear who the protagonists are. And the antagonists are also equally two-dimensional, which is to say, I'm not doing this for anything other than I want money.
Yeah.
Right? Dr. Wu he's not doing this because by unlocking the secrets of the dinosaur genome, he can, save his mother who's got a genetic condition that needs that thing. There's no backstory. Or if there is, it was so generic that I didn't catch on to it. So there's if you think about it, in the first movie, it was Wayne Knight who kind of instigates the whole kickoff, right? And he was just doing it for money. And in the rest of the movies, everyone who's kind of done anything to be the bad guy is only doing it for money. Which is, okay, it's a good motivator for a heist movie, but it's not a great motivator for what is effectively a disaster movie, right? This is dinosaurs it's like a humans versus nature. So it's like, it's like 2012. It's like, what was that volcano movie? It's like those movies where you're basically running the clock. Oh, maybe it was just volcano. Yeah. Where you're running the clock against nature. And here you're kind of doing the same. You're running the 2-hour clock that this movie is going to be against nature. But what's the third dimension? What is the thing that makes the bad guys compelling?
So I think to answer that question, I think we first have to ask, what are the rules for dinosaurs? What I mean by that is, I shouldn't answer a question with a question, but what I mean by that is, for like a dog movie, there's a very clear unwritten rule. It's not law. You should not kill a dog, right? Like it's
right.
very, very rare that you kill a dog or a horse, right? Like that's just kind of like off limits in films.
Yeah.
Are dinosaurs treated that way? I mean, we've seen dinosaurs.
Carnivores can go at will. Herbivores have to stay alive no matter what. That's the way I look at it.
I mean,
herbivores are dogs. Carnivores are, bad guys.
So that means, like, in theory, you could have a plot line where military comes in, for example, and shoots a T-Rex, and the T-Rex could die, but it could not shoot the Brontosaurus.
Exactly.
Oh, I have to say, it's a very good rule. Did you make that up, or is that a real rule?
No, I just made that up.
Super good.
Right? You're absolutely right. You don't want to see a Bronto who's
eating a tree.
Just eating a tree. He's not causing any trouble for anyone. He's just sitting there.
I'm just a happy Brontosaurus.
Exactly. I'm just a normal Triceratops. I'm not doing anything.
I'm just a happy Triceratops. Okay. Right? That makes sense. You're right. That absolutely makes sense. So I think given those rules, I think the only way that this can go that will be compelling to continue to have us fork over money to watch this is that there has to be now some type of military aspect to these things, right?
Because that's where you get the human element to it.
Yes, right. There has to be a nuclear base or something, and you can only get to it by getting through, the T-Rexes, or there's a T-Rex in a cage that's roaming around, like guarding the entrance or something like that, right?
I'll go one step even crazier. All right?
Love it.
Let's think of it this way. What if the military goes, how do we weaponize these dinosaurs?
Yeah.
How do we, strap, M16s and AK-47s and missile launchers onto the back of these dinosaurs, which have natural plate armor and can do whatever they want. And they're like the perfect defense mechanisms because they don't set off radar or something like that. So how do we capture these guys and, create these genetic monstrosities that we can use to fight our battles for us?
I mean, we saw a little bit of that with the original Chris Pratt, right? Where he was kind of trying to train them a little bit, but it didn't have like a military purpose. But that was kind of, we saw him kind of with the toenail clippers, like clicking and stuff. I agree. It seems to kind of be going in that direction, that there has to be like some type of military, because then at least you can have a three-way conflict. You've got the military, you've got the zookeepers, and you've got, kind of the dinosaurs as acting aggressively, but deep down they're just, animals that want to be free and they don't really mean any harm, right? But do you think this is sustainable? I mean,
that's why I thought third was going to be the final one. I didn't know that they were going to have this like universe that they were building. With all due respect, these things are making, I understand that these movies are making in the billions of dollars, but I'm losing that compunction to watch them because who cares? It's not compelling viewing. And I hope that Dominion is different. I hope we see an element that adds a third dimension, whatever that element is. But right now, the idea of man versus dinosaurs has worn thin, because that's the equivalent of saying, man versus monkey in the forest. Like, what's the difference?
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to go super sci-fi. I don't think they're going to start saying that the dinosaurs start developing human-like intelligence. I don't think they're going to go into aliens. I don't think they're going anywhere like that. So if that's not how you're going, fine. That means that these are just animals again. Okay. What compelling movie can you do with animals?
I mean, I'd still imagine that they're going to try to squeeze kind of three more out of this. And I think in order to do that, then you have to kind of marginalize the dinosaurs, right? Like the first Jurassic Park was all dinosaurs. Yeah. And the humans played a lesser role. And now I think it has to be Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard and focus more on the internal conflict and just have the dinosaurs kind of in the background as a piece of the larger like interhuman conflict, right? I think you just need to minimize the dinosaurs, like their involvement in the storyline. Otherwise, like you said, there's not a lot of places that can go where it doesn't become extraordinarily redundant, unless you're going to bring in something that's like super bizarre. And I think that once you go too bizarre, I mean, it's already bizarre that there's dinosaurs. So, I mean, you're not going to have dinosaurs versus aliens. You're not going to have, there's no metaverse. There's no like traveling back in time or forward in time. There's only so many like military plots that people can see. So I think you need to just focus more on the human element and more on like the corporate hijinks. And it has to be less and less dinosaur.
I think what's going to happen is the dinosaurs are going to become relegated to being the MacGuffin, which is to say that there's going to someone And again, I've seen one trailer. I have no idea what the actual plot is. I don't think it was even a full trailer.
I have not seen the trailer.
I think I saw a teaser trailer when it came out like months ago. I don't know what the plot is. I just know that all of them are back. I know that Sam Neill, Laura Dern, and Jeff Goldblum are back. I don't know how serious their roles are going to be, but I just imagine that it's going to be that the dinosaurs are going to end up becoming the MacGuffin. Or it's going to have to be, they develop some kind of serum that they want to deploy into the atmosphere to kill all the dinos. And of course, everyone's against that. Or there's something like that. And that's it. I honestly don't see where a good compelling story comes out of dinosaurs any longer.
I have a problem. I love Laura Dern more than anyone, but I'm not sure why we're bringing back Sam Neill and Laura Dern. The Fast series has always been good about bringing in someone new, right?
Fresh blood,
Jason Statham, The Rock, right?
John Cena, Charlize Theron.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't understand why we're going backwards and bringing in, I'm sure Sam Neill is an amazing guy. There's not like this outcry for more Sam Neill. Bring back Sam Neill, right? Same with Laura
there
Dern.
is for me. I love him.
All right. Generally, can we, but it's Sam Neill, Laura Dern, Jeff Goldblum, right? They were iconic characters. Actually, I'd say Goldblum was iconic in the first one. Sam Neill and Laura Dern just played, if you look at that first one, I mean, they were just overdressed scientists, right? They dressed them like so scientisty in the wilderness with the khaki and the bandanas and the glasses.
But I really like they had their moments, right? There was that moment like where the iconic moment, for example, in Jurassic Park 1 with Laura Dern is where she's got her hands inside the turd of that Stegosaurus. Yeah. And then for Sam Neill, it was that moment where he's on the treetops with the two children. And there's a Bronto head there, and he's helping them pet the Bronto. Or even when he's climbing the electric fence, and he does the ultimate dad joke, which is he pretends like it's still electrified when it's not.
Yeah.
There were a couple of highlight moments for them in that.
But that's 1990. That's 1993. What I'm saying is that this series needs. Just make up a character. Bring in Justin Timberlake and what's his wife's name?
Mila Kunis? No, that's the Ashton Kutcher.
Yeah.
Jessica Biel.
Yes. Bring in those two, right? As these new graduate students, and let them be involved. That's even a better idea. Bring in Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis. I think they need to bring in someone new into the series rather than going back and getting, 60-year-old Laura Dern.
You know why they're doing that? It's because I suspect internal metrics were that they didn't have as many people who've watched the new trilogy or, Jurassic World 1 and 2.
Yeah.
As those who are our age who watched the first trilogy, Jurassic Park trilogy. Yeah. And the easiest way to get us back in the cinema to watch Jurassic World is to get the original trilogy back.
I'm not saying replace Sam Neill, Laura Dern, and Jeff Goldblum, but I'm saying that we need, I think, fresh blood in this. You can be nostalgic, but bring in someone new. Maybe there is someone new and we just don't know who it is, but I would say, just like how we saw Top Gun, right? Top Gun, Maverick, brought in some new characters who are super cool, right? Hangman, Phoenix. I mean, those are, to be honest, they could probably do a spin-off on either those two.
Just those three. With Rooster, Hangman, and Phoenix, you've got a good sequel potential there.
Yeah. I think it would also be called that same movie with it was also Jessica Biel and it was Jamie Foxx and there's a third guy, remember? It was about like a AI fighter jet.
Oh, Stealth.
Yeah. Stealth. Yeah. That would be called Stealth too with those.
Josh Lucas?
Maybe.
Yeah, no, the third guy. Yeah, the four of them were a squadron. The fourth one was the AI powered ship. Yeah.
Remember that?
I do remember that.
So that would be that movie. But I think that they need to bring in someone new. If you're really intent on making the Jurassic World series something that's sustainable for 3 more installments, I think you need to bring in Ashton and his wife. I think you need to bring in Timberlake. You need to bring in just someone new that can provide something, different. Maybe they've got that person. We just don't know because we haven't seen it.
Obviously,
they haven't been announced.
Yeah.
That's absolutely possible. But for me, this is really, really similar where it's Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard reprise their roles. And we're bringing back Sam Neill, Laura Dern, and Jeff Goldblum. And we're bringing back blah, 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 blah. That's okay if there was an iconic movie and you're looking forward to the sequel. But when you're already kind of I can't remember what happened in the 4th one, or was it the 5th one? And I'm not sure what they're going to do here. It just seems like that's not the right formula to get enthusiasm, right?
But to play devil's advocate, the only thing that got me interested in Jurassic World 2, even though, and I don't remember watching it in the cinema. I think I was so blasé about it. I ended up watching it at home on streaming, if at all. Honestly, I just can't remember it. But the only thing that really had me intrigued about Jurassic World 2 was Jeff Goldblum. And he had, 5 minutes of screen time in that movie? Yeah. But he was really plugged as one of the main stars of that movie. And I think it was to say, hey, Ethan, Pete, and their generation weren't such a huge fan of Jurassic World 1. How do we get them back in the cinema? I know. Let's raid the cast list of Jurassic Park trilogy, the original trilogy. Let's get Sam Neill back. Let's get Laura Dern back. Let's get Jeff Goldblum back. And frankly speaking, it worked in the sense that the only reason I was interested in Jurassic World 2 was, again, because of Goldblum. I think that they had a little bit of a PR issue on hand. For whatever reason, Chris Pratt had a rough patch in terms of when Jurassic World 2 came out. He was going through a rough patch in terms of his public persona and his private life in Hollywood trades. I think a lot of people were giving him a lot of flack. And so that certainly didn't help, even though it was still $1 billion movie. It didn't help with the movie's promotions. And Jeff Goldblum alleviated a lot of that pressure. And I know that it's going to certainly happen now with this movie. I think I'm more interested and more intrigued in seeing the chemistry of Laura Dern and Sam Neill again on screen together than I am in seeing Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard.
Oh, I love Bryce Dallas Howard.
As do I, but if I have to choose between the Bryce Dallas Howard and Chris Pratt versus Sam Neill and Laura Dern, I'm choosing Sam Neill and Laura Dern.
All right, here's a very important question. Jurassic Park was written by Michael Crichton, right?
Yep, I read the original.
Who is more prolific, Michael Crichton or John Grisham, in terms of books being made into movies?
I think in terms of blockbusters, Michael Crichton, but I think in terms of volume, I think it's John Grisham.
Yeah.
I think John Grisham has more legal dramas out that were either into movies or TV series. But in terms of Michael Crichton's books, all of his movies have been summer blockbusters, right? The Sphere, Jurassic Park, what else?
Timeline.
Yeah. Although I think was that a movie or was that a TV series? I can't remember.
It was both.
Maybe both. I remember. I love the books, but I remember the movie / TV show was terrible.
Yeah, I agree. I'm looking at the Grisham stuff. Grisham's books are all amazing. I can't think of one that was an amazing movie, right? I mean, The Firm.
Great movie.
No.
You don't think so?
No.
What didn't do it for you?
I think it was all wrong. I think that was all wrong. The way that just the pacing, the time.
I don't remember. To be fair, I didn't read the book, so I'm only going by the movie.
Tom Cruise, our man Tom Cruise.
Yep.
So Firm, Pelican Brief, Client, Rainmaker, Runaway Jury. Trying to think of what else we kind of saw. All of those books were amazing, but I can't think of any that were like really a great movie. I think maybe The Pelican Brief, maybe Runaway Jury, but the books were just dramatically better. Whereas I'm looking at Michael Crichton. I think Michael Crichton. Can't remember which of the problem with Michael Crichton is I can't remember what's made into State of Fear. I don't know. Prey? Was Prey ever a movie? Timeline
I think
was.
So.
Airframe? I don't think Airframe was.
Airframe was. I remember Airframe.
It was a movie?
Yeah, I'm pretty certain it was a movie, actually.
All right.
I'm pretty certain. Don't hold me to that.
Disclosure was a movie.
Very good movie.
Yep. Jurassic Park. Sphere. Congo was a movie.
Terrible movie, but great book. Coco sad. Coco happy. Terrible.
I don't even remember that until you said
I don't think it was Coco, whatever the name was. I'm confusing Coco with the Robin Williams.
Are these the two most prolific author? I mean, let's not count the Harry Potter stuff or the Game of Thrones stuff. Are these the two most prolific authors who have made stuff into movies?
Probably. I certainly would think of them. The reason I wouldn't consider J.K. Rowling or into that or even what's his face George R. R. Martin is because it was really one series. It was multiple books, but one series.
Exactly.
John Grisham, all these guys did like a bunch of different a bunch of different books that were made into different movies, right? Maybe Lee Child, but I don't know if a lot of his stuff was made into movies or not.
What else besides Reacher?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know. He just seems like I'm just thinking of, airport authors that you would find in like the airport bookstore.
Stephen King,
definitely. Oh my God. How could we forget?
But Stephen King also, for me, I forget because I haven't actually read a Stephen King book and I don't see Stephen King movies because I don't like scary stuff.
It's not my genre. I agree. It's not my genre either.
Yeah. Ian Fleming, of course, is
James Bond.
Yeah. We don't think of Ian Fleming just because he was so much before our generation, and we almost think of him as synonymous with Bond, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it is Michael Crichton, and J.K. Rowling made all those movies.
Yeah. But again, based on one.
Dean Koontz.
What did he do? Movie-wise?
A bunch of... Who made Twilight?
Twilight? Stephanie something.
Stephanie Meyer.
There you go.
Yep, that's 6.
Oh, and then you have the 50 Shades of Grey movies series.
Oh, yeah. Let's not go there.
Yeah. The less said about that, the better. But still.
Let's not go there. All right, so Jurassic World Dominion coming out. Let's see what
it comes out from me on next week on Thursday.
I think the same. I thought it was coming out earlier. I think I got that wrong. I think it comes out next week. I'm actually quite excited about it only because I want to see how it's going.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm excited to see it because A, I don't know what the plot is, and B, again, I'm going to be super happy to see the original trio back together in one screen.
I like Chris Pratt. I'm a big
I have no problem with Chris Pratt, don't get me wrong, but I just don't find him super duper compelling. I think that he's kind of a bit Harrison Ford-ish, which is to say he plays the same kind of character in every movie.
Yeah, I mean, if we're really picking at him, I agree. He's not really an action hero, and he's not really funny, and he's not really a swashbuckling leading man. But he can do all of those things a little bit. I mean, it sounds like it's an insult, and I don't mean it that way. He's a little bit of a jack of all trades, where he's like, hey, he can be funny, he can do action, and he can be kind of like the brooding leading man. But I think that, like, what's the movie we just saw with, it was A Lost City, where we saw, who made the cameo?
Channing Tatum? Oh, the cameo was Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt, right? Compared to Brad Pitt, where he did the action, he did the offbeat humor, and he did the brooding leading man, like, that's a guy who should come into Jurassic Park. Like, give him that role and say, look, he's right. Like, don't you think like that just infuses a lot of enthusiasm for this, right? I'm the grandson of Attenborough, and I'm taking this over. Or I bought out Wu, or I'm the military guy, and I'm going to do this. I'm the 5-star general. He would bring someone like that if you added them to this
franchise.
Yeah, franchise. It really gives it a huge jumpstart.
I don't know. I just think that the franchise already has a lot of relatively well-to-do actors. I don't think you need to see. I like your idea, your original idea, which is to say bring in some fresh faces, but maybe younger guys, maybe maybe even someone who's a relative unknown. I have no problem with that.
All right. Well, let's see if we can get one of these unknowns. Let's see what Wu has to offer in this one. Omar Sy, Campbell Scott's in here. All right, let's see what they've got. I'll keep an open mind. I want to see it, but my expectations are pretty, like, I think it'll be watchable. I think it'll be okay. I think it's going to be the smash hit.
I think it's going to be one of the smash hits of the summer. And again, this is not on the premise that know anything about the movie. I just think on the generic premise that we've been in a lockdown for 3 years. It's going to be this is going to be really the first summer where blockbusters are going to come back with a vengeance. It's got dinosaurs. I think it's got everything that every kid wants to see.
Pete, what do we have on upcoming episodes?
What do we have upcoming? We are going to do a not mini, but not quite full quickfire review of Tokyo Vice.
Oh, yes.
Which we both saw, and I think we both loved. I really, really liked it.
Yeah.
I think we should definitely do a quick chat about that. Umbrella Academy is coming out very soon.
Oh, I have to see that then.
It's not out yet, but it is something I will recommend, and we'll talk about that. We'll get into that in the same episode.
All right. So join us for our next episode on HBO's Tokyo Vice.
All right. This has been Films and Stuff. Reach out to us on aloha@filmsandstuffpodcast.com.
Aloha.
Or tweet at us at F&S Podcast. We're always looking forward to interacting with you guys.
We love it. Okay, Pete.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a great day. See you all next time. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Films and Stuff. If you haven't already, please subscribe and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever podcasts are downloaded. Films and Stuff. There is no substitute.